Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming on to another episode of Knowledge Party TV. I love running this show because I love interviewing experts, consultants, coaches on topics related to business, mindset, and marketing. So, and I love to have this show because I love to pick their brains, but then I get to share it with everyone else. So today I have on Ben Herman, and he is my colleague from Northern California. He is an entrepreneur, a musician. The story of how his career evolved is a really cool story, and he's going to share with us a little bit about that and his thoughts on why you should not pursue your dreams. At what point should we stop pursuing our dreams? Because we have a lot of obstacles. So it'll be very interesting to hear Ben's take on following your dreams, when it's time to give up, or if we should just never give up. I wonder what he'll have to share with us. So thanks so much for being here, Ben.
Thank you very much, Rachel. You know we miss you up here in the North Coast.
I know. I am due for a visit soon. It's almost summer, so that'll be perfect time to visit.
Definitely. Well, you might want to stay in SoCal, though, because it's probably way nicer down there than it is up here.
It's hot.
It's actually raining right now.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how it is down there, but...
So how can you tell us, what your business is? I mean, we see in your background right here, it's Accurate Productions. How did that business evolve? I mean, we can't just snap our fingers and we have a business built. What did it take to build that business?
Yeah, certainly. Let me give you a little bit of background on myself for those of you who are watching right now that may not know about me. I am the CEO and founder of Accurate Productions. We are a multi-operational DJ company that serves Northern California. And it's not, to contrary belief, a lot of people see DJs out in the clubs or maybe at certain events, and they're usually like a one-man operation where they're really focused on kind of making it famous and building a name for themselves and so forth. I decided to go a total different route by actually creating a business around that, where we invest in, hiring team members and really training them how to do their job correctly, and then building it outwards that way. I just felt that at a young age, I realized I started this business my junior year of high school. Officially, of course, I started before that. Most entrepreneurs and solopreneurs always start under the table first, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we kind of stumble into it too, which is kind of funny. And once I decided to start the business, I knew back then, back in my junior year of high school, that I wanted it to be something bigger than myself. So I wanted it to be scalable. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something that was really important to me.
Yeah, and to make something scalable, you need to implement systems.
Exactly.
And kind of figure out what systems am I going to implement. You probably learned from a lot of your own mistakes.
Certainly. I'm actually, one thing that I am a very, very, a huge advocate for. One thing is, I should give you another background story on me, is that I actually never graduated high school. Wow. So a lot of people don't know that, but I'm very proud of that fact, actually. Yeah. I'm only 2 credits shy of graduating. And I also had, of course, we all have the opportunity to pursue our GED, mm-hmm. but I decided to decline both because I knew this is exactly what I wanted to do in life, is pursue business and build multiple businesses, not just this mm-hmm. one. This is just my first baby mm-hmm. Of many that I plan to produce. But I thought that, I knew, and this may have been just a cocky senior in high school, but I knew that I was going to be successful no matter what. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about if I was going to be successful. It was about a matter of when mm-hmm. I was going to be successful. And when I was going to be reach that success, hopefully I would be able to utilize my story and to inspire others by writing books, becoming a motivational speaker, and so forth, and just kind of sharing my knowledge and experience with people, my unique story, because I believe that we all have a unique story that we're contributing to this world. That being said, I am, regardless of if I chose not to pursue formal education, of course I didn't graduate high school, but I didn't even pursue college after that either. I am a huge advocate about learning, constantly learning. And it's actually a little sad because I see a lot of my peers who have graduated college who choose to give up on learning right after that. They think, okay, I've earned my diploma and that's it. I've made it. I don't need to learn anymore. You can catch me literally while I'm taking a shower. I'm usually listening to a podcast while I'm working out at the gym. I call it working out my body and my mind. So I'm listening to podcasts, audiobooks as well, usually when I'm driving as well. me being a DJ, I'm more of an audible learner opposed to reading actual
Yeah.
books. So it takes me years to read one book compared to just listening to audiobooks and learning.
Well, that's good. You found what works for you and adapted it to work for you.
Certainly. And I'm assuming you too, right?
Yeah, after college, people, they'll never read a book again. But the top CEOs read an average of 50 books a year. So my goal this year is 60 books, but that doesn't mean I have to read 60 books from front to back. That means I need to open up some books, read chapters in it, listen to audiobooks, go on YouTube. There's lots of free audiobooks on YouTube. I also consider an audiobook is around 10 hours, let's say. So if I was to listen to 10 hours worth of podcasts or interviews on YouTube or videos, I consider that a book completion too.
Of course. Yeah, certainly. I think that regardless of the type of media that you may be learning from, as long as you're learning, that's doing your job.
And if you break it down by a month, that's only 5 books a month. And you don't have to, you can take one book, get a chapter, some golden nuggets out of it, and then revisit it again in 6 months.
Yeah, certainly. Your statistic, I've heard of something similar to that about most successful CEOs tend to read about 6 to 10 books per month. And so maybe averaging 50 a year. That's actually a new one that I heard. But it's sad. The contrary of that is that, an average American doesn't read any books in any year, and may start a book in a year, but doesn't even finish it, which is very unique to hear.
How much TV does the average American
hours
watch? Oh my goodness. So when building this business, you ran something I wanted to ask you is you said you knew you were always going to be successful. It wasn't a matter of if, it was when. But oftentimes as children, we are conditioned, that's growing up is when we get our limiting beliefs that we aren't good enough or smart enough, just because of things our teachers tell us, or our friends tell us, or our family tells us. It seems like you had your mindset straight as a child.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead you guys, though. I definitely had lots of challenges that I had to overcome. I also had lots of skeptics. As a matter of fact, my own parents were skeptics. Yeah. Both my mom and my dad both did not support me starting a business at 16 years of age. They thought, I could be doing better things with my life, that it was way too risky, and that I didn't have any experience. And, there's only 1 out of a billion people that may succeed in business. So those are kind of the words that were, instilled in me at a young age from my parents. And again, I don't believe that our loved ones ever have try to cause us harm or give us any sort of knowledge, or share their opinions to hurt us or hold us back. They just truly believe that's the best information to give to their children, unfortunately. But it's crazy. I don't know what it was. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book when I was a sophomore in high school, and that really just put me on a path to roll. I don't know if you know Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, so you think that was maybe the catalyst, the initial catalyst for your thirst for knowledge?
It really was, yeah, because before Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'd never finished a book in my entire life at that point. I kind of used, I don't know if you remember pinkmonkey.com, but that was like Cliff Notes online. And so I'd use those websites to kind of cheat on my book reports at school and so forth. So I never finished a book ever until that point. And the only reason why I decided to finish that book is because it kept me engaged, and it really opened my vision of wow, all of my parents, these people that I look up to, these leaders, if it's teachers or principals or counselors at school, they're all telling you, hey, you're supposed to pursue a college degree, and then you're supposed to find a good job that you'll be able to work with for a lifetime, and then hopefully that job will take care of you throughout retirement. And it's just not true anymore. Yeah. And Rich Dad Poor Dad made that very clear of that, back then for our parents and our grandparents, they were in the industrial age. And in the 80s is when we changed over to the informational age, and we're still living in that day now. And the economy and everything has changed completely.
Yeah. Yeah. Even my mom will sometimes be like, maybe you should get a job.
You know, my mom still has said that all the way up until I believe last year. I just recently had a son. He's born about a year and a half ago. So my mom, being a first-time grandmother, she decided, she lives in Germany, by the way. I should give that
Oh,
backstory.
wow.
So we don't get to see each other very often. And of course, her being a first-time grandmother, she was very excited to meet her grandson. So she booked a flight and decided to come and visit us for Christmas a couple years ago. And it was not until that day, I promise you, every single phone call that I would have with her, she was super worried, like, oh, is this really what you should be pursuing? Don't you want to just go get a job or maybe, you know, go back to school or something? And I told her, no, Mom, like, I understand times might be rough right now. Maybe we had some cash flow issues, or I had turnover issues at one point in time in my career. Just lots of challenges. And I was trying to, you know, kind of, I guess, confide in her to gain support from my own mother. And, you know, with her loving words, she meant nothing but the best. She still had misguiding information that she was trying to give me. And it's, again, because that's what she was taught at her age. So coming back to it, it wasn't until she actually stepped into our office and saw our team members and saw the things that, you know, growing a business has really done for my life and my family, but also for other people's lives, because I'm a huge advocate in that. Not only am I in business for myself, but I'm in business to really, for the opportunity to serve others, to really help others' lives and really pull them up as well. And so it wasn't until that moment that she actually witnessed that she's gained confidence now. And she's like, you know what? I'm proud of you, son. Yeah. And I think that what you're doing is good.
Yeah.
And we're talking about 10 years later.
Yeah. Well, and it's good to hear that too, that, you know, that she's proud. My mom still say that to me too. And so it's like when, you know, our parents, like, money story is different. When you're born, you are not 50% your mom, 50% your dad, and that's your mind. You're your own unique person with your own destiny. Definitely. Mission. So thinking of obstacles, so like one of the obstacles is what people say, you know, our family, our friends, our loved ones. That is a major obstacle because we might listen to that misleading advice. Another obstacle, you said, like, cash flow issues come up in entrepreneurship. You have, like, people to pay for. You have you got to pay your staff.
Payroll, right? Yeah. Even for yourself.
And then
that's a challenge of business.
And then turnover, like hiring and firing and quitting. That's a whole thing. What other obstacles do you, like, run into with owning a business, or have you run into?
You know, at some point or I would say in every point of the growth so far, you know, our company now has hit our 10-year milestone just last November. So we're going on year 11 now. And of those years, we've gone through everything, every single thing that you can think of. The reason why I mentioned turnover was because at one point, me being a young leader, inexperienced, not really well knowledge about, because I'd never done it before, right? What I noticed is that, especially in this industry of becoming a DJ, I would hire these people who had some prior experience in club life or whatever else it may be. And I thought, you know what? By hiring an experienced person, it would actually save me a lot of time on training. And I can just get them and kind of set up with the equipment. And they can start producing, you know, results for the company. And contrary to, again, kind of the intuitive belief of like, okay, you know, this is the right way to do business. Lots of life and business is actually very counterintuitive to become successful at, which is very unique again. And so what I learned is that, you know, first off, we should hire people that don't have any experience at all, because that way they don't have anything to compare it against. They also tend to not be so stuck in their ways. Like a trained horse usually has some bad habits that they might have picked up along the pathway. And it's very hard to shake those bad habits, right? So to create good habits from the beginning is also a nice thing. And then it just goes on and on and on. But the main thing with this industry is that DJs tend to want to get the fame for themselves, right? So to hire someone and then 3 to 6 months later, they get to the level where they're like, oh, I don't need you anymore. Let me just jump ship, and now I can just pursue my own career as a DJ. Thanks for all the knowledge that you've poured into me and all the love that you've poured into me. But now I don't need you anymore. I can just do it myself. So what we've learned at that point is that, hey, we need to actually find the right kind of person, not in skill level, but in characteristics, right? And what is their character built of? Are they a person who likes to serve others? Are they a person who's selfish, who's selfless, not self-centered, and who really wants to buy into a bigger vision that's bigger than themselves? Or do they want to just serve themselves at all times?
Yeah, that's great. I was listening today in the car while driving on YouTube, a training on hiring superstar employees. And they say don't hire based on their experience, hire based on the character traits you were looking for.
Certainly. Yeah. And I do believe also if any of you guys out there are looking to hire your first employees, first off, don't call them employees, because employees is kind of a degrading word. And I think that if you really want someone on your team and you want someone that wants to think for themselves and to really buy into the company's vision, you need to start calling them team members, because really that's what they are, right?
Yeah, sometimes I'll call them my workers because they're like virtual, because they're virtual assistants or like VAs, but then I'll be like my workers, but it's like they're my team members.
Certainly. And that's another thing that a lot of people think about is they go, oh, you know what? If I hire someone, then they can help me, and all I got to do is just pay them, and that's it, right? We don't look at it that way, because really, if you think about it, that's just a job to someone, right? But if you can actually be that form of education, because a lot of people who don't pursue college or may even go to college but aren't learning anything, maybe that opportunity for them to work for you is for you to be able to pour some knowledge and some love into them, into their lives, right? So I'm constantly asking myself every single day I wake up is like, how can I make my team members also succeed in their life? And really the grander question is, how can I produce a business here that every person that this company touches, it serves, right? So it serves our clients, it serves our vendors, and it also serves our team members. And then in the end, if everything is, everybody's served and happy, then hopefully it'll serve me as well, right?
Yeah, I love that. I just had last weekend this motivational speaker, Caleb Maddox. He's just blowing up on the scene. He was on my Blab. He says on his sales calls, I'm trying to serve you, not sell you.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the word serve, and you'll see it in our marketing all across. And again, it's not to take advantage of anybody or manipulate them. It's just to inspire them that, hey, you know what? There are good companies out there. There are good business people out there. Not every single businessman or woman is a greedy person.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone just sneezed?
Nava did. He's watching this
Bless you.
here too. And for you guys who are just coming on the Blab, we are live right now and recording with Ben Herman, and we're talking about any maybe possible reasons why you should not pursue your dreams, obstacles, how do we know when our dreams are too out there. So that's what I wanted to ask you about. Sometimes we come up with new ideas, and then we take a little bit of action on them, but then we find a new idea or another shiny object, and we don't complete the action on them. Or we maybe think, oh, that idea was too outlandish, I'm just not going to do it. Have you ever experienced that, where you had an idea, but then you did realize maybe you need to quit it? Maybe you should quit.
Yeah. I think that it's a pretty common theme in an entrepreneur's life that our brain's just constantly going. And I want to give a big shout out to my wife, because she deals with the most of it. And so, that's the reason why I love her so much. But the thing is that, she's constantly having to hear of ideas that I come up with, and I go, hey, babe, what do you think about this idea? And what do you think about this idea? And ideas are never short to come by, I feel like, for entrepreneurs. But it is it's a very important thing to pay attention to what you should pursue and what not to pursue.
Yeah.
I think I'm a strong believer in staying laser focused on your core passion and your vision and your goals of what your main goal in life is, right? Because it's very easy to get distracted. So one thing that I tend to do, actually, and I know that, again, a lot of entrepreneurs, what they tend to do is they try to think of the next shiny idea in this world and try to be the next Steve Jobs or, any of those other moguls, Mark Cuban. And I guess inventors would probably be better to use, which I guess Mark Cuban back then did invent something.
Yeah.
But coming back to it is to be good at something and become a master at it. So focus on that one thing and never give up on learning and progressing, and just look at it as you'll never make it. You'll never know enough about that certain subject. You can always pursue it more and more and more, right? What I tend to see, especially with the instant gratification economy here and society here in the United States, is that if people don't see results right away, they give up on it, right?
Yeah.
And so what they tend to do is they tend to try certain things, and they're beginners at many things, right? They're at the beginner level of many things, but they're never a master of one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I definitely, throughout my career, I had plenty of opportunities to pursue. I had some guy at some point, literally just shortly after high school, he saw my drive and my passion for business. And at that point in time, I had a lot of knowledge about business already. And I must have impressed him. He had actually an insurance agency, and he was looking to retire. And he wanted to find someone that could take over his company. And he thought, okay, you know what? I can apprentice this guy, and then he can just buy me out, and then I can take it over. This is a multi-million-dollar business. And back then, he pretty much gave me that opportunity. I didn't have to put any cash down or anything. It was more like I learned, I became a part of his team. And then over time, he would transition out, and I would take over. So that was a very, very shiny example of like a awesome opportunity that I could have taken. But I'd already started the DJ business. I'd already known that, like, you know, music is my passion. This DJ industry is my passion, and I'm really good at it. And I can't foresee really waking up and going to an insurance company, even no matter how much money it may put in my wallet. Just wasn't it. And again, back then I had a lot less funds. We're talking about at one point, I literally lived on bologna sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay. Barely made my rent and that kind of stuff. And so, of course, around that time when that opportunity fell into my lap, it was very attractive to take. But I still decided to decline it and pursue this. And thank goodness I did.
Yeah, sometimes we got to eat bologna and sleep on the floor to pursue our dreams. So we got some good discussion going on in the chat box, too, here on Blab.
Nice.
Brad is funny. He said, is this title clickbait, or do you have a legitimate argument against it? And, you know, because the title of this
that's all Rachel.
Well, it's why you should not pursue your dreams. And in a way, it's clickbait because it's if you do believe that never is the option. But it's a discussion for all of us. So some people may argue that there are times where your dreams may be just too outlandish, too dreamy. Like if you dream of being a singer, but you just are not good at singing and all the training in the world is not going to make you good at it, figure something else out. So
yeah. I have a funny story to share about that, because I brought up my parents earlier in the conversation. And that's one thing that actually happened, is that I was actually really into like music, producing music, and also singing. And then also I really wanted to become an actor when I was a young kid. And we're talking about, I was like 7, 8, 9, I mean, under the teen ages. And even back then, my parents were such realists that they said, you know what, for you to become famous and for you to become successful at an acting career is unrealistic. And he said, actually my dad specifically said this. He said, and he's not a racist, of course. I mean, I was adopted. He chose to adopt me for a reason. But he said that how many successful Asian actors do you know besides Jackie Chan and Jet Li? And at that point in time, they were like, Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3 came out and so forth. But it was very interesting that even back then, they were such realists and said that, hey, it's an unrealistic thing to pursue. Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have any like natural talent at it either, but if someone really they have talent at it, I think it's great. Also, something Brad said in his comments, we were talking about mastery, and he said 10,000 hours, right?
I love that.
I disagree with that. I don't think you need to count 10,000 hours of experience to call yourself an expert or a master. You are an expert. I don't know about mastery, but you're an expert when you declare yourself as an expert and do the things you need to do to be an expert. I want to call myself an expert internet marketer. So therefore, I created my website. I wrote my blog post. I'm here on camera interviewing people. I have my book coming out. I speak on stage. That gives you expert authority. So it's just certain actions that you have to take to establish yourself as the expert, claim it, believe it, send that out into the universe and you will be an expert, is my opinion for the discussion.
You know, Rachel, I don't mean to be abrasive, but I disagree with you a little bit, just on the fact that I actually agree with you, Brad, because I don't know if you ever read the book Outliers. I believe that's where it came from. And I like the message of what the author was trying to portray. He's not saying that you have to count 10,000 hours hour, but he's saying, hey, you need enough experience and knowledge and wisdom in order to call yourself an expert. Because it's very easy to call yourself an expert prematurely. Not saying that you are calling yourself an expert prematurely, but I'm actually speaking from my own experience that I actually did. So I thought that because I was pulling in cash and I was pretty successful as a DJ at a younger age, I thought, oh, you know what? I'm an expert. And I claimed myself to be the expert. And now looking back at it, I definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
I still don't think I am, really.
No, definitely. There's different keywords too. There's like expert, master, professional. So I was just at a speaker training and we did some intensive therapy stuff to break through our limiting beliefs. And one of my limiting beliefs is that I am not a professional speaker yet because I am too new and inexperienced. Whereas I worked through that limiting belief, I have experience. I'm not new anymore. So I decided to claim myself as not an expert speaker, not that word, but professional public speaker. And I said that to myself. I said that to God. I said it to the universe. And the very next day, this was 2 days ago, I get a phone call that I got chosen to speak on stage in front of 200 people. So it's crazy how it's not crazy, but it's so cool how when you believe in yourself, you believe yourself to be something and you be something, it comes into fruition.
No, I totally agree with you on that. And I think the definition of professional, to me at least, is that if you get paid for something, it's just a hobby until you get paid for it. And once you get paid for it on a consistent basis, then you can consider yourself a professional. True. But an expert is the next line up. I think that you reach professionalism first, and then expert is down the line, hopefully. I
agree. Brad also mentioned we all need mentors that are good enough to tell us the hard truth. Of course. What is your experience with mentors?
Sorry, in the great backpack. Sorry, my laptop's about to die, so I'm having my manager hook me up real quick. I should have thought about that. Sorry, what was the question?
How important is getting mentors or coaches? Having someone help you?
I think it's detrimental. It's something that is a must, an absolute must. And I don't necessarily believe that mentors have to come in the shape and size of in person, that you have to reach out to a local person that may be successful, or maybe it is someone I've seen your Instagram that you see Ty Lopez and all these other big shots, right? For me, being a small town person, I don't have access to those kind of people where I can just you can just drop in on them all the time, right? And so I'm a strong believer that mentors don't necessarily have to come in the form of a person who meets with you in person or even shares a conversation with you on a regular basis over the phone, but that audio book or just books in general can be a mentor, act as a mentor to you. Because really, if you think about it, these authors that are writing their thoughts down, there's no difference between you sharing a conversation in person in a coffee shop or then pouring the same exact knowledge in a book form, right? Yep. So I definitely have, the greats as mentors on my side, but I don't know them personally.
Definitely. Even if they're dead, that's how you can they'll be your mentor. And it's important to read your favorite books multiple times because every time you read it, the book hasn't changed, but you have changed. So every time you read it, you will pull out more knowledge from it.
You're right. And, I do have to also agree with Brad. Man, Brad, awesome job on all the comments. But he did also mention that you need people that care about you enough to tell you what you need to hear. So to be a form of accountability. So that's where, of course, a book's not going to act as that for you. And that's where, even a personal friend or someone who supports you, if you have team members or someone you work beside, or even another business professional that may not be in your industry that can act as your accountability partner, that's definitely crucial.
Definitely. So if anyone wants to call in, share their thoughts on this topic of pursuing your dreams, quitting on your dreams, giving up, how to overcome obstacles, how to break through a wall. I like to say, when you hit a wall, you either break through it, you go over it, you go under it, you go around it.
Certainly.
So, yeah, because I was saying, sometimes though our dreams are too out there, and maybe we should change course. I've started little projects and businesses that I thought were so good, and then just kind of gave up on them. And then sometimes you might feel that's a failure. I don't think they're failures. I think they're just the experience you needed to have to get where you are. Or when you waste money on something. Matt Posius says this. He's a millionaire mentor. He's 20 years old. He says whenever he wastes money on something, like on online ads, and they don't work, it's not wasting money. It's not a failure. He was buying the data. So he spent $3,000 on ads and got no results, but now he had the data and the experience to know what to change for next time.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm a huge advocate for learning from your mistakes and failures. And I know, just knowing you personally, Rachel, that one thing we share in common, and I don't want to offend anybody here on this chat, but we both believe in God. And I think that, as they say, that, God doesn't give you the opportunities that you may not be prepared for yet. He actually gives you opportunities to learn from and grow from, and then build you and prepare you to be able to take on the opportunities. Or just kind of hold up those big opportunities.
Yeah, Ben shared with me this really good book like a year ago, Business Secrets from the Bible, and it's actually written by a rabbi. What?
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that book.
So it's actually written by a rabbi based on the Torah, which is great. I'm Jewish, but people, like Christians and other people, can get a lot of learnings out of it. Even if you're not religious, there's so many good points in that book. And one of the two main points that I remember the most from it, I listen to the audio, when I'm driving to Humboldt County, I'll listen to the audio, or when I have long drives, is you always need to take a day off in the week, have that day of rest, whether that is, your Sunday or, your Saturday. And if you can't, because you do have to work, then choose another day to not work and be with your family.
Yeah.
So that's a good one to avoid burnout, and you'll be more successful if you do that. One, because you'll be rested, but two, if you believe in this stuff, it's just because it is written. Some things in there we just follow because it's written. So anyway, another thing I like in that book is the rabbi points out that we need to be around people. You don't have a business by yourself. A solopreneur is not an entrepreneur, and you need to network with people. People are your customers. People are your employees. People are your mentors. People are your advocates. So you need to be meeting people, whether it's in-person networking events, coming on Blab. I've met so many great people on Blab. But surrounding yourself with people is another takeaway I got from that book.
Totally. Yeah. And also, this whole life balance thing is something that I really struggle with. And I think a lot of you entrepreneurs out there can probably, relate to me on that. The one thing is that you had mentioned people, right? And I think that we also have to keep priority of certain people in our lives that, when it comes to your spouses or your significant others, your family, or even your close friends, that you do have to carve out some time for them, because ultimately they're the ones who impact you the most, first off, right? But in addition to that, they can also act as a way to recharge, kind of like practicing a Sabbath or just a day of rest. And they can really help recharge you. But you also have to help recharge your personal relationship with them.
Yes.
So there's a saying out there that, friendships or relationships in general, not just friendships, but relationships are like plants that without watering them and proper attention, they wilt and die.
Yes. Yes. Another plant metaphor. My friend Nava, who is watching this Blab right now, she told me that in your career, it's like a fruit tree. You plant the seeds, take care of the seeds. The tree's gonna grow, and then the harvest will come eventually.
Exactly.
So you put in a lot of hard work. You may not see the results right away, but that's because it's like life. Things grow.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that should be encouraging advice to someone who may be thinking about pursuing their dreams or their certain level of success, maybe business, maybe fitness goals, maybe anything, right? That you can't, again, this economy is all about instant gratification, unfortunately, right? You go to a store, you buy something shiny, and you have it, you own it, and you get to use it right away. But life's not like that, right? Life is that more like the farmer metaphor of you have to plant the seed, and then you have to work at it by actually, kind of watching over it, watering it, and so forth. And
Pulling the
then
weeds
even with
out,
all
too.
pulling the weeds out, exactly. And then only after you've done everything in your power, at that point, whether you believe in God or a higher power or whatever it may be, you have to leave it up to faith, right? Because we can't control the weather. We can't control certain aspects outside of our control. And you really have to leave it up to faith and time. And then hopefully that harvest comes in, and then you're able to cash in on the fruits of your labor.
That's what Nava shares with me too, is that, sometimes we are having obstacles in our business, but just have faith that we will see this. We'll be in the winter of our lives, but summer is around the corner. Spring.
Exactly. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So what would be your advice for someone if they want to start a business but they have no money? Is that a reason to not pursue a business or your dreams?
Good question. I definitely do not agree about that. I understand this whole VC and angel investing is like really popular right now, especially with shows like Shark Tank and The Profit, all these different kind of investor shows. But I am a strong believer that you don't need any sort of seed money in order to start your venture. I personally didn't myself. Let me give you a little background story. I started working at 16 at a place called Ray's Food Place. It's pretty much comparable to Safeway or any sort of grocery store, right? And I started off as the bag boy, making minimum wage. That's it, right? And then I worked my way up and worked my way into a clerk and got a little, we're talking about 50-cent raises per hour. So it's not like any sort of major money. And during that time, I also started my business, right? And so I was starting the business half-time, and I would save all sorts of gifts. Like, let's say if someone blessed me with a Christmas present or a birthday present, and it happened to be cash, I saved that and tried to save it towards my business, starting it by buying equipment, investing into marketing or education and so forth. And this is what I did, is that at one point I turned 18 and I left my my dad's house. So I kind of left the bird's nest, right? And became a man, I guess you could say. Not really. But, try to learn how to become a man, I guess. And got my own place, rented a place out and so forth. And I decided at that point in time, even though my business was premature, it was not ready to support me financially full time, I decided to jump anyways and quit my job at Ray's, which was a grocery store, and pursue my business full time. And the reason why I did that very intentionally, is because I felt that the job, the consistent paycheck, was a safety net, and it was actually slowing me down, and it was slowing down my motivation. And there's something that happens when a person can't financially support themselves, right? I don't know if any of you have felt that feeling of not having enough money to pay your bills. It feels like drowning underneath water, right? And that survival instinct kicks in. And it's just an intuitive thing that happens. And then our brain thinks a lot clearer, hopefully, after panic, right?
Yeah.
After panic. And then you will figure out a way to get it done, because ultimately we instinctually it's something that, we have that the protection mechanism that sets off to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
So survival kicks in, and that's ultimately what took me from eating, again, bologna sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to being able to afford, steak and all that other stuff. Sorry for you vegetarians, but I love steak.
No, I love that. You have to, when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go except up.
Exactly. And also, the fact of hitting rock bottom is actually a huge lesson in life. It's actually something that I think every entrepreneur needs to go through, because it changes your perspective, and it's actually a very, very strong, not strong entrepreneurs. I shouldn't even generalize it just for entrepreneurs. It's for anybody in life that there's something about humble beginnings that really gives you a good perspective once you do hit the top.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never be that greedy, cocky person.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you will be, but hopefully you won't be. Where you'll want to remember the old times and go, okay, I remember where I came from. And because of that, I will not be a certain type of character.
You need to have that contrast in your life. If you're always happy at a 10 every single day and you never have those moments where you feel like a 1 or a 2, you won't know when you are feeling like a 9 or a 10.
Certainly. And I want to address Brad's comment on the side here, how he mentioned that people sometimes forget that faith means action. Yep. Totally agree with you. It reminds me of the Martin Luther King quote. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's faith is having taken the first step. Does anybody, do you know it by chance, Rachel? It's like faith is taking the first step.
The one where it's like just start and you're halfway there. But that's
okay.
Well, Brad is saying though, like faith in, like, if you're just sitting around hoping, that's not doing anything. That's not faith. Faith is actually working at it and believing that you'll achieve that.
I would agree.
So before we close out today, what other books can you recommend for us? Because we talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Business Secrets from the Bible. Or is there any like of your favorites that have changed your life?
Yeah, there's certain ones that I just keep coming back to, and I kid you not, I've read them probably close to even 10 times, maybe. Not all in a row, of course, but just over years. One that I keep coming back to is E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Yep. That's more of a business book, so anybody who's looking at turning their operation into just bigger than themselves and kind of creating systems and an automated business that really runs efficiently, E-Myth is a great introduction to that. Mm-hmm. Leadership by Dave Ramsey is an amazing business book because it really talks about not just business fundamentals, but also character qualities, kind of like how to treat your team members and how to treat people that you work with and so forth. So I really like that too. Dave Ramsey, I don't know if you guys know the backstory of that, but as Rabbi Lapin, Dave Ramsey's he's a Christian and he does have faith-inspired, biblical inspired wisdom that he infuses into his books. And so, me being a Christian myself, that's something that I aspire to.
Nice. Whenever it's like my birthday, my mom's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, well, Amazon gift card so I can buy books, used books, I just want books.
That's awesome though. That's so great.
And I don't want her to buy them or pick them out because I want to choose like from the used ones.
Definitely. And hey, Rachel, I know that we're closing up, but I wanted to address the question, the main header of the title that you came up with of why you should not pursue your dreams. Mm-hmm. And I thought about that very deeply after you came up with that title of like, it does have a certain truth to it. Mm-hmm. But I'd love to ask what your perspective is first before I answer mine. Yeah.
So Brad was kind of right. I thought it was a clever clickbait title. So why you should not pursue your dreams? I think the only reason you should not pursue your dreams is if your dreams are just morally not good. But if your dreams align with your passion and your purpose and your mission to serve the world, then you just don't give up. Mm-hmm. You don't.
Good.
Unless someone can find out like another reason why not. But what about you? What do you think?
I would say there's two answers that I came up with. The first one is that if you're only a dreamer, that's not a good thing. You have to, because there are those people that they keep dreaming up ideas. They keep dreaming about, if I do this, it's kind of like, once I win the lottery, then I'll be able to do this, right? Mm-hmm. They put their actions on hold and just wait for something to fall in their lap, some sort of miracle to fall in their lap. I think that's where you should not pursue your dreams because really it's not going to go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
The other side or the other answer I could come up with on that title is that sometimes, and this is something that actually happened to me, is when I first got into DJing was actually back in junior high school. I was a 7th grader. And I just saw, I came across a DJ at a junior high dance, you know, that awkward where boys are on one side, girls on the other, right? Nobody's willing to ask themselves to dance. But I saw a DJ then, and I remembered my parents saying, hey, it's very unlikely that you're going to become successful as a musician or an actor. And I thought, man, what an awesome way, though, to pursue this, because still in the industry of entertainment, I don't have to sing. I don't have to act. I'm playing other people's music. But on top of that, I love sound systems at that point in time. And so I thought that was really cool. The cool lights. And then back then, also the girls and the attention, the social part was really attractive to me too. And I thought, you know what? If I become a DJ, I want to pursue becoming the world's best DJ, right? And I thought, okay, you know, grand scale, like those Tiestos and those, you know, big timers. I don't know. Maybe you're not in the electro scene. I know you know the electro scene, but some of you guys may not. But just a big timer DJ, right? And then as I got into high school and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and some other books, then I quickly realized, no, you know what? I don't want to pursue my original dream of becoming the headlining superstar DJ. I'd rather shift my dream into serving more people instead and creating a business that actually hires people and that actually serves more events. It may not be the superstar DJs, but they're still doing an amazing job for every single event that they perform at, right? Our reputation, not just here, but in the world, is that we're the largest organization and the most successful, consistently known for quality service across any country that we may be in. For the exact service. So think of a Starbucks, for instance, right? Starbucks is known for the coffee's consistent, the service is consistent, you know, the customer service. Even the way that the buildings are you know, the office space is built out, or restaurant space is built out is very consistent. The branding is very consistent, right? There's no such thing to this day that has a major household name DJ brand that is known for that kind of consistency on an international level. Right. And so that's something that we are actually pursuing from small Humboldt County, North Coast. We're trying to shoot for those big stars. Right. But so where I'm coming back to that title is that, you know, I originally had a dream of becoming just a solo act DJ and become the biggest DJ in the world. And instead I shifted my dream. So I may not have stopped pursuing my dream, but I did stop pursuing that part of my dream to now become the largest DJ company instead.
Yeah, things change, people change, they shift, and that's okay too. Just because it shifts doesn't mean you quit the original dream. You have no one really to answer to except yourself and God, if that's who, you know, what you believe in. And that's something to remember too.
Another metaphor that it just reminds me of is that if you were driving in the dark, right? And let's say we're on the California coast, but we were planning to take a road trip to the East Coast, to New York, let's say, right? And of course, there's that analogy of that you have to have a road map in order to know where you're driving, right? If you don't have a road map, you're literally going through life blindly, right? So that metaphor is very powerful. But where it becomes even more powerful is that if you happen to start driving at nighttime, right? You have to turn on your headlights, right? And then you're driving on the road. You only get to see about a couple hundred feet in front of you before you get to before the path unveils for the next couple hundred feet. And the only way that that path unveils is by you driving forward. If you never move forward, just those couple hundred feet, you'll never be able to see the next couple hundred feet ahead of you, right? And so when that turn in the road comes, you won't be able to see it unless you move. So you need to keep moving forward, and you may be moving forward in it a little blindly, right? So you know, okay, my overall goal is to go to New York, but realistically, my human ability holds me back from being able to see the path from California all the way to New York, every single road, right? Not able to. I only have two sets of eyes that can see so far ahead of me, right? And then especially driving in the dark time, those head beams only shine so far, right? And so that metaphor is very powerful. You know, if you just keep driving forward and just have faith that the pathways will unveil and you'll be able to make the decision at that point in time, you'll get to your end goal as long as you stay on path and you follow that map.
That is amazing. That's a good one. I like that one. I heard of the one where it's like if you're taking a sailboat, you're in the sailboat and you're gonna like sail to Hawaii. It's a straight shot there, but you have to keep adjusting the sail because the wind and everything. But that's completely different than the car and the headlights.
That's great though. Both of them have their own purpose, I think.
Yeah, they're both like traveling through life.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. I mean, it's success in life is a living organism. And a lot of people think that, oh, I just write a business plan and that's it. You know, the business plan itself should be a living organism. Just like a financial budget should be a living organism. It's not a little document that you write up and you say, okay, that's final, right? A budget you revisit. You should be revisiting every single month, but sometimes even every single week to see if you're still on track on the budget. With the business plan, the same thing, right? You want to keep on track of where you're at, but you might have to tweak a few things, right? I mean, I did. My original business plan was to pursue and become the largest superstar DJ. And then at some point I realized, no, the more knowledge I actually learned and the more wisdom that was poured into me, I realized that's not what I wanted to do, right? Because actually being a solo act DJ, if I'm sick, yeah, some of these DJs get paid $100,000 to $200,000 for a 1 hour set, 1 hour performance. Could you imagine saying I make $100,000 an hour, right? That's ridiculous. But at the same time, what happens if you're sick? At the same time, what happens if you get into a car accident or your airplane crashes when you're flying to your next destination and it holds you back, right? All these things happen and then you're losing out on the income. And so really your income is actually attached to your personal time. Yeah. And I think that if you invest in a business and investing in more people, not only are you serving their lives where they're able to now feed their families and put a roof over their head and pursue their own dreams and goals, but on top of that, if you were to get sick, you can stay out of the office and the business keeps moving forward. Think of Steve Jobs, right? He's unfortunately died, right? Rest in peace. But at the same time, his company still moves forward. Henry Ford, he died a long time ago. His company still moves forward. And there's so many examples of that, of course. Yeah, that's an amazing example too. Wow, this was a great Blab. We had a lot of people come on here live. I'm sure the YouTube recording is going to get a lot of views. We went deep. This was deep. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love having these kind of conversations.
Heck yeah. Well, so everyone, you guys, I do these shows live every Wednesday and then get the recording up and you guys can all come and visit. So hopefully you can come on another one, Ben, just visit, call in or something to that. And any last words in the chat box before I turn off the recording, and then we will still be live for the after show. Well, I'll turn off the recording and see you guys on the after show.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I share some links by chance?
Yeah, so where people can find you.
Yeah, certainly. So our company website is accurateproductions.com. But also you can find us on any social media platforms. Search up @AccurateDJs is our handle. But another thing that I'm really excited about, I personally actually am releasing a mix tonight. So if you guys like some music that's upbeat, maybe perfect for workouts, road trips, or just chilling at the office, whatever, they're completely free. They're about a half an hour a piece. Mine happen to be a little over that, 40 minutes. But it's completely free. It's awesome music if you're into the DJ what's that?
Is right here.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Thank you, man. So make sure to check it out. We have a direct link, which is accuratedjsmusic.com.
Type it in right here.
Okay. DJs is plural. You can also find us on Mixcloud and also iTunes, the iTunes store. Just search up Accurate Productions and our podcast will show up. And, mine happens to be released tonight, but all of our DJs release them on a weekly basis. So you have access to all of those mixes for free. And again, if you're planning on going on a road trip or planning to go to the gym anytime soon, these are perfect playlists for that. Yeah, you can't always have audiobooks while you're driving because then sometimes you get tired and you need the music to keep you awake. Certainly. Yeah. Well, music is great therapy too. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, guys, for having me. And I really appreciated having this conversation with you, Rachel. And I hope that, you guys walked away with at least one thing that you guys can apply in your lives.
Yeah, I know I did. I definitely did.
Awesome.
Cool. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.